The story begins with the creaking of the bed, and all the clothes are on the floor. The main character, named Chin Luoyi, is playing with some guy. Well, it feels like her head is spinning. Also, she feels like her body has become heavy, and something is coming into her. The guy approaches the girl. They passionately kiss. The kiss was so violent that the main character could not even breathe. Looking at the guy's face, she didn't even know him, but was amazed by his handsome face. Then she asked the guy what his name is. The guy said that she didn't say anything, as he would do everything. After that, the guy started his business. Chin Luoyi didn't like it much, and she asked him to stop because it hurt her a lot. She also screamed that she did not want it, although in fact she liked it. All this time, the camera that was in this room was recording them. The next morning, the main character woke up alone in bed, and she did not understand where she was and how she could get here. Looking in the mirror, she realized that it was actually not a dream, and there were a lot of hickeys all over her chest and neck, seeing which she was very surprised and did not understand what she could do last night. Suddenly, her memory returned, and she remembered that yesterday she was somersaulting with some guy with blue hair, but she still could not understand how it had come to this. All this time, that guy was in the shower, and coming out of which he looked at the main character with a stone face. Chin Luoyi was a little scared, and she quickly took the blanket and ran out of this room. And the guy was left alone, wiping his wet head, despite how, at the same time, all the members of her family gathered in the house of the main character. Due to the camera filming them last night, this video made the news, with the headline that Chin Luoyi, who is to be married soon, is dating her lover last night. The father of the main character was just furious and did not understand how it all happened, so he asked Chin Luoyi's sister where they were yesterday. The sister was very nervous because she herself was in complete shock from what was happening. She replied that she herself did not know anything. Last night they were at the bar to meet brother-in-law, and after that the main character left that bar with some man. Having heard this, the father did not even know how to react to it, and he was wondering who this man could be. Crying sister replied that she did not know, and she took the blame on herself, because if she knew that this could happen, she would have followed her sister. Suddenly, the characters heard the creak of the door, which means that someone quietly wants to enter the house. As it turned out, the main character entered the house, who was speechless when she saw that her father was waiting for her, and she understands that now she will be the end. Not even having time to approach his father gives her a slap in the face. After that, he throws a phone at his daughter, saying that after what she did and still had the courage to return, she also asked her to see what she did last night. Picking up the phone, Chin Luoyi couldn't believe her eyes as she saw herself with the guy who played last night. The girl immediately began to explain herself, claiming that it was not as he thought, since in the past at night, she passed out after Zhiwen shares a drink, and all redder, she added that that drink was a glass of wine. The sister of the main character was at a loss and objected, saying that her brother was in-law, and she saw how the main character left the bar with some man. They waited until the bar was closed, but the main character still did not return. His father already had a headache. He didn't know what to do with this video since the whole reputation of their family had already been destroyed due to her daughter's affair. And since she was the one who made this mistake, and you shouldn't frame your sister. All this time, the fiancé of the main character, Guan Cheng, was in the room, who sadly listened to all this. He did not understand why his beloved cheated on him. Approaching the girl, he took her by the chin and said that she was no longer worthy to be his wife. After that, the guy already wanted to leave, but Chin Luoyi tried to stop him, asking him to give her time to explain, so it's not like he thinks. But the guy did not want to listen to all her nonsense. Since this video explains everything, he was very interested in how the main character could explain that video to him. Suddenly, Chin Luoyi wanted to snatch the phone from his hands, but the guy didn't want him to add, him didn't understand what she wanted to do. So he threw her on the floor, and the main character was left alone thinking about the consequences of that night. Suddenly, she began to remember that yesterday she was at the charming bar. After that, her sister approached her and offered her a drink and a glass of wine, and most importantly, of course, she could not refuse. It was already 11 p.m., but Guan Cheng had not come yet. But Jiwon replied that he might be in traffic, and because of this, he was so late after that. The girl added that she needed to go to the toilet room, and she would be back soon. After she started to leave, Z1 for some reason started to smile, and most likely she had some kind of plan. Qin Luoyi was left alone at the bar with a glass of wine in her hand. She also did not understand how she could get drunk after only one glass, which is very strange for her. It's been a couple of minutes, but her sister still hasn't returned, and she's already started because something might have happened, so she went looking for her. Suddenly, she stumbled upon one guy with blue hair, with whom he would sleep that night. Qin Luoyi was so drunk that she did not even understand where she was going, and the guy could not catch. The guy told the girl that she can't even stand properly. Ask her to sit better until she gets better. But the main character asked the guy to leave her behind because she needs to find her sister, and tried to get around the guy. But the guy said that he did not see that she had a sister. Suddenly, the main character fell asleep right in front of him, and he had to carry her in his arms. Qin Luoyi told her sister that she fell into a coma because Ji1 slipped something into her glass of wine, since she usually doesn't get drunk that quickly. Z1 pretended that she had nothing to do with it, and said with innocent eyes that she would never slip something on her sister. Suddenly, Guan Cheng stood between them and began to protect the sister of the main character. The guy said that yesterday he saw how Qin Luoyi left with that guy if Ji1 had not stopped him. Otherwise, he would have beaten his legs long ago. At that moment, the main character thought about it and realized that Z1 knew that that guy had already come to the bar. Z1, pretending to be innocent, asked her sister to accept the fact that she made a mistake and not to set her up because only she was to blame. Her ex-boyfriend stepped in between them again and urged Qin Luoyi to stop blaming his sister for everything that would end badly for her. And now the only person he can trust is Z1. Z1 looked into her sister's eyes and grinning, "I understand that everything is going according to her plan." After that, Guancheng and Ji1 walked out of the house holding hands and hugging, saying that the main character does not deserve to be her sister and is a dirty woman. Qin Luoyi was very surprised and asked her father to stop them. But the father and the main character was the person who observed all the traditions, and he said that from now on, Guancheng will be the groom of Ji1. And this is all in order to maintain the reputation of Gu's family. The main character shouting at her father could not believe what he just said because Guancheng is her fiancé, and she still wanted to marry him. But the father added that the person who lost his innocence cannot even dream about it. Irushin will find the person with whom the main character slept yesterday and marry him. After that, he left the room loudly closing the door, noting that Qin Luoyi should be held responsible for what she did. Qin Luoyi lay on the ground and did not understand how everything could have happened like this. Tonight, the main character decided to go again to that bar in order to find that guy. This morning, she ran away from him. Now she wants to find him so that they get married. Meanwhile, this guy was sitting in a chair and talking to who was telling him how much sales they made. He stated that recently sales have increased by 300% compared to last month, therefore the market of City A's nightclub will change. Suddenly, this guy noticed the main character and told his boss that she looks like the girl he brought to him yesterday. At the same time, Qin Luoyi tried her best to find the guy by asking the waiters if they had seen him. The guy suggested that the main character came to find him because she didn't have enough of what happened to her yesterday. Qin Luoyi will tirelessly try to find a guy, and she asked all the people who worked in this club. But the waitress laughingly said that she did not know who it was and advised me to ask others. Suddenly, behind the main character was a man in a black suit. As it turned out, this was the guy she was looking for. He slowly approached her ear and whispered that he had heard that Qin Luoyi was looking for him. She immediately pushed him back, as she did not like that he was so close to her. But looking at his face, she realized why. Then she went with him to the room. "He looks just amazing." Suddenly, some brunette in a red dress and a handbag approached them, and she was very glad that she was finally able to find her boyfriend. Hugging her boyfriend, the girl apologized for being a little late. At that moment, the main character realized that he was a manservant, and she was not sure if she really wanted to marry him. When they were about to leave, Qin Luoyi stopped them, which angered the brunette a little, and she asked what the main character wanted. Qin Luoyi took out a black bank card that said VIP and stated that she was ready to cut twice as much if he stayed with her. The guy looked at everything in it and was a little surprised by the generosity of the main character. After that, he told the brunette that he could only meet her tomorrow, since he had just got more important things to do. The brunette was upset and rolling her eyes. She decided to leave this club, leaving the guy with the main character. After that, the main character, very nervous, asked the guy to go to some secluded place where they could talk about everything. Looking the guy straight in the eyes, Chin Luoyi asked what he thinks about her proposal, and if he doesn't like something, they can bargain. The guy would be a little surprised by this, and gently touching the girl's cheeks. She thought that it sounds pretty interesting. In addition to this, Chin Luoyi not only took him, but also is ready to offer him a good price for a fake marriage with him, and he likes it a lot. At that moment, he called his name Feng Jue and almost kissed the girl. He said that he accepted her proposal. The next day, the characters were in the marriage office where they had to sign. They felt very embarrassed as they did not know each other well. Taking the marriage certificates, the main character could not have thought that she would really marry Gigolo, but she could no longer do it because now she is in a difficult situation. And if she is, then her father will be just furious. Chin Luoyi took out her card and said that she had $25,000 in it, and she would give the rest of the money after they parted. Feng Jue took the card, and he could not even imagine that someday in his life he would be threatened with money. After that, he asked the girl if she had plans to fly with him on a honeymoon, which would greatly surprise the girl, and she nervously replied that she did not have this in her plans. She then added that because she slept with him and got kicked out of the house, which surprised Feng Jue a lot since he didn't think he had such strict parents. After that, the guy took the girl's suitcase and ordered her to follow him. The main character was at a loss, did not understand where he wants them to go, to which Feng Jue replied that they would go to his house, of course, so that she would have a place to live. After that, he asked with interest if the girl was satisfied last night. Chin Luoyi blushed and did not answer this question, but here everything is clear. After that, the girl added that she would not live there for free, trying to compensate for the rent with all the household chores. Getting into the car, the guy agreed to the proposal of the main character, but only on one condition: if he would not be present at the ceremony. And the main character had no choice how to agree to this. After a while, the heroes already entered the Fengju apartment where there was dust everywhere, and Chin Luoyi could not even breathe properly because of this. Looking at this place, she asked herself how long this place was empty, since everything is covered with dust. Feng Jue told the girl that she can live here, adding that the spare key is on the second box under the TV. After that, he was about to leave. Chin Luoyi tried to stop him in order to find out his phone number or other contacts, since without them she would not be able to contact him. But unfortunately, he had already left and she did not have time to find out. After a while, Feng Jue raced in a sports red car through the city at night. Suddenly, some Ye Hao started calling him. As it turned out, it was the guy with yellow hair who was talking about sales then at the club. Ye Hao heard that his boss brought some girl to the apartment he considers a forbidden place. Feng Jue said that it was all in the past and now he is married, which greatly surprised the guy. He could not believe it. Ye Hao wanted to know more about why his boss decided to get married so suddenly. But Feng Jue did not want to talk to his friend anymore and threw the phone in the back seat. Meanwhile, the main character was putting things in order in her wardrobe, as she likes when everything is orderly and clean. After that, opening her phone on the cover, she saw a photo where she is, between her sister and her ex-boyfriend, which upset her a little since they were together quite recently. If Chin Luoyi could then understand her sister's mind, she would never have believed her. But unfortunately now it's too late to fix something. The main character remembered the moment when she was still in her house with her sister who saw her off. She assured her little sister not to worry, because Z1 will take good care of her fiancé in the future. The sister also added that according to their mother, Chin family would never allow Gigolo as a son-in-law. People like Chin Luoyi have dishonored their entire family, and it is better not to have anything to do with the family in the future. Trying to sleep, and the main character told herself that she would never forgive her sister, even if she was kicked out of the house. She turned off the light bulb in order to fall asleep faster, and with the hope that tomorrow would be much better than this. Suddenly, some shadow of a person appeared next to her, but she did not notice this, since she had already fallen asleep. This person turned out to be Feng Jue, who couldn't suppress his desire to meet the main character, so he decided to visit her in the middle of the night. Chin Luoyi woke up and she did not understand what was happening, but after a second, she immediately realized that this person was Feng Jue. The guy told the girl not to move, but the main character wanted to move him away, but could not do it because he was too heavy. Suddenly, the main character smelled alcohol and asked the guy if he was drunk, but the guy did not answer her questions. Everything continued and continued to paw her. Standing up, Feng Jue called the main character Mu Ling, which greatly surprised the girl, because besides the fact that he is now drunk and wants to do something strange with her, he does nothing and calls her by a different name. Qin Luoyi wanted to get out of the guy's arms, but he took her hands and began to kiss. Qin Luoyi was in complete shock, but she could not say that she did not like it. After that, the guy began to slowly go down, and tying the hands of the main character with his tie, he continued to passionately kiss and touch her. The main character tried to push the guy away and she managed to do it, but he quickly hugged her and continued to call her by another name. After a heavy slap in the face, Qin Luoyi asked the guy if he could see her clearly now and understand that she was not Mu Ling, but the guy still continued to pester her. Since the main character's hands were tied, she couldn't do anything, so the guy started to develop her and do very dirty things to her. Qin Luoyi was in complete shock, and since she is a fragile girl, she couldn't do anything about it and had to endure this pleasure. Feng Jue asked the girl if she wanted to, but the girl couldn't clearly answer as she started screaming, calling him different words while the guy was biting her on different parts of her body. They say he feels very good. Taking off the rest of the girl's clothes, the guy started his business, and all night their bed creaked, and they did it at the same time as the main character screamed in horror and pleasure. Waking up in the morning, the guy was completely at a loss, did not understand why Qin Luoyi is here. He also saw many different hickeys on her body, and he immediately remembered what he did to her last night, realizing that, in fact, it was not a dream, but a reality. He quickly got up and put on his business suit, leaving the girl alone in the apartment and leaving for his work with the thought of what happened here. At the same time, the main character woke up, being completely bewildered, not understanding why her body hurts so much. The sun also shone directly into her eyes, and she hid from the sun in every possible way. Looking at the mirror, she was shocked to see that her body was covered with hickeys. In addition to this, looking down, she saw her clothes and blushed heavily, thinking that it was a shame for her. Like any person in the morning, she was hungry and decided to go to the kitchen, what to eat. But she felt some kind of smoke that came from this room. Looking ahead, Qin Luoyi noticed Feng Jue, who was sitting quietly and smoking a cigarette on the sofa, looking into the eyes of the main character. At that moment, Qin Luoyi remembered everything that happened to her yesterday, and thinking about what they did to her yesterday, she became angry. So she grabbed the guy's cigarette and asked what had come over him last night. Feng Jue stared in a daze at the main character of the video behind her, some kind of silhouette of a girl with orange hair, and did not answer her questions. Qin Luoyi pointed her finger at the guy not to behave like this to her anymore, since she is not Mu Ling, and he does not have the right to touch her in all sorts of places. The guy, grinning, grabbed the girl by the hand and pulled her towards him. Thereby, the girl pressed her whole body against the guy's body. Feng Jue quietly whispered in his ear that since they are now married, he has the right to sleep with her. He also asked her why she is so shy. The main character quickly stood up and stated that this was just a contract, and even though they were married, they should agree that from now on, Feng Jue cannot just enter her room and stare at her strangely. The guy asked if this look was strange for her. Qin Luoyi began to get nervous and almost melted in front of him, also gently touching the girl. He looked straight into the eyes, and the main character felt very embarrassed at herself. She still tried to explain to him that, in any case, he has no right to look at her like that and touch her, but Feng Jue will come in that she is very cute when excited, which surprised the girl even more. Continuing to ask questions, the main character did not even notice how it turned out in the hands of her husband. In fear, the main character said that she was ready to forget what happened to her yesterday, but she still does not understand why he behaves this way, when he is already sober, and she felt that he would now tear her apart. Putting the girl on the bed, the guy began to take off his shirt, thinking that the more the girl behaves in this way, the more she attracts him. Qin Luoyi realized what would happen to her now and tried her best to stop him, but he would not succeed. Show your palm. She said that they already did it yesterday, and if they do it again, then he will overindulge in it. Also, she asked the guy how he will satisfy other women if he spends all his strength on her, and this is not good for his work. Touching the girl, the guy said that he's pretty strong and can do it every day, so I don't have to worry. Qin Luoyi felt very strange. On the one hand, she liked it, but on the other hand, she could not stand it. Also, all attempts to stop the guy are futile. After that, the main character was offended by Feng Jue saying that she didn't want to talk to him anymore. But the guy replied that during this exercise, you don't need to talk in order to save energy. After that, they got down to business, and the main character screamed that she was in pain. But the guy did not stop. After that, the main character fell asleep and woke up in a completely empty room, asking herself, where did Feng Jue go? So she assumed that he could go to work after taking advantage of her. Trying to get out of bed, Qin Luoyi felt that her legs hurt a lot, and she immediately fell to the floor, blaming Feng Jue for this, since she can't even walk properly because of him. Entering the bath and looking in the mirror, the main character again saw a bunch of hickeys on her body. Then she remembered, at the moment when her father was going to her phone and kicked her out of the house. She felt very strange and did not understand why she was acting so stupid and still doing this to him. They agreed on a fake marriage for only a couple of days, and soon they should file for divorce. Dressed as modestly as possible so that no one would notice her, the main character decided to go out into the city in order to make a couple of purchases. Being in the middle of the street, all passers-by looked at her with surprise. Since today was a very hot day, and there were a lot of clothes on Qin Luoyi, she went to one stall where vegetables were also sold and asked the saleswoman for Chinese cabbage. At the same time, the saleswoman looked at her in surprise and said, "Today is 37 degrees," not understanding why the main character dressed like that. Having bought everything she needed, Qin Luoyi saw a store with a large selection of flowers, which she immediately decided to visit and see what else was sold in it. Approaching the store, she noticed a small sign that said that they were looking for an employee to arrange flowers, and the main character could not even imagine that someday in her life, flower arranging lessons would be useful to her. Entering the store, she saw a saleswoman who asked the girl with a smile how she could help her. Qin Luoyi took off her hat and said that she noticed the ad outside and asked if anyone is applying now. The saleswoman asked Qin Luoyi to wait until she called the store manager and clarified this point. Then the main character decided to walk around the store and smell different flowers, and she even found flowers that she really likes. Suddenly, some guy came up behind her who introduced himself as the manager of this store, and his name is Lin Shengge. He was a very polite guy and asked the main character how to address her. The main character introduced herself, and they shook hands. At that moment, the manager asked Qin Luoyi if she had any experience as a florist. Qin Luoyi began to tell that when she was still studying. Flower arrangement was a compulsory course, but unfortunately she did not have any work related to flowers, and therefore she has no experience. The guy said that if the main character is not in a hurry, then they can sit down and talk about it, and after that, they will decide on hiring the main character. At the same time, Ye Hao was talking to someone on the phone in his office. Suddenly, Feng Jue came to him, which scared him a lot, since his face looked gloomy and he was silent all day. So he decided to end his conversation. Pretending that everything is fine, the guy started talking about the stock market, saying that today it is not bad. But Feng Jue did not listen to him, since all his thoughts were occupied by Qin Luoyi, and he could not stop thinking about her. Ye Hao looked at his boss, and he seemed too strange to him today, so he tried not to provoke him and not talk to him at all. Suddenly, the guy's phone started ringing, and he quickly answered the call, asking what was the matter. As it turned out, the sister of the main character goes to the apartment where she lives to look for trouble. At the same time, in the apartment where the main character lives, her sister called. She was dissatisfied with something and wanted to quickly see her younger sister. After going out, Qin Luoyi asked her sister why she came here and suggested that she take a rest after drinking a glass of water. Z1 asked her sister why she lives in such a remote place, since she couldn't even find a place to park her car. The sister also noticed that the main character looks tired, pretending that everything is fine with her and she is not angry. The main character assumed that G1 was tired and invited her to come inside. But her sister replied that she would not do that as she was now in a hurry to buy an outfit for her wedding. Besides, Qin Luoyi should know that she does not drink tap water. After that, Qin Luoyi said that she came here for a different purpose, namely to invite the main character to her wedding with Guan Cheng. When the heroine heard from this, she felt overwhelmed and simply remained silent. At the same time, her sister was thinking that her plan worked. And besides the fact that the main character is now unwanted in their family, she has reached poverty, and now she is generally unworthy of Guan Cheng. Qin Luoyi said with a smile that since it was her wedding, she couldn't miss it. Taking the main character by the hands, her sister asked her not to forget to come along with her brother-in-law, which surprised Qin Luoyi very much. Z1 stated that his profession may be a bit strange, but he is still the brother-in-law of Qin's, and even if he is a gigolo, Z1 wants their parents to see the main character with someone she is her wedding. Smiling, the main character said that she would definitely come with him. Meanwhile, at the office, Ye Hao couldn't stop laughing out loud as Feng Jue spoke about his feelings towards the main character. It was already evening and the guy came back home, loudly opening the door. He was met by the main character, who noticed that he changed his shoes, or she did not expect him to come so early. Feng Jue went to the kitchen where the main character prepared food for him and said that it's almost 7 p.m. and he should be at his job. With a smile, the guy said that he could not work if he is indulged, so he came back. At that moment, Qin Luoyi began to worry because she realized that her husband missed work and she did not want him to do it to her again. She loudly stated why he then came to her house. But after a second, she immediately remembered that this was actually his house in which he allowed her to live, and immediately apologized, asking that all this that happened to her and not happen again. After that, she said that she had already printed the contract and later she should check it. And if there are no problems in it, then Feng Jie will have to sign it, and they will finally... Sitting at the table with her fake husband, Qin Luoyi, noticed that his face became gloomy, and she suggested that they eat together as she cooked a bunch of delicious food. Eating food cooked by the main character, the guy said that it was very tasty, which surprised the girl very much, and she said that she would bring soup now. When she already wanted to put the soup on the table, she noticed that the guy had already eaten and left alone with the soup. She decided that she should eat him alone. After a while, the main dishes and Feng Jue walked next to them and looked at her, thinking that she looks very good. Finally finished washing the dishes, Qin Luoyi was finally able to show Feng Jue the contract. But when he saw that all this time while she was working, he just sat and did nothing, she became very angry. After she gave him the contract for him to read and sign, the guy just threw the contract aside and wanted to touch the girl, but she managed to dodge. But after a couple of seconds, Feng Jie was still able to catch her, and holding her hair with one hand and her chin with the other, asked why she was so afraid when she was touched. He also stated that he had already expressed his attitude towards her through his actions in the afternoon, and he did not want to hear about this contract. The main character Fears asked the guy what then he wants, but he looks the girl straight in the eyes and expected that she would say something else. In addition to this contract, not hearing anything that he would like, the guy just let the girl go and left, closing the door loudly. A day later, Qin Luoyi was alone in the kitchen, and there was a glass of water in front of her. A day had passed since Feng Jue left, and he still had not returned, and she did not understand what this could be connected with. In order to occupy herself with something, she decided to go to work, and after a couple of days, the guy still did not return, and the main character suggested that he was still angry with her. Suddenly, one of the store managers told all the employees that they need to go and buy flower samples as there are not enough of them in the store. Some time ago, the heroine, together with her friend who also works with her, already bought 2 samples of flowers, and they were very surprised that there were a lot of these samples. Qin Luoyi suggested that it is because they have no shortage of money, and because of this they can afford to buy a huge number of different colors. Although the main character remembered from the building that she had already been in this place before with her sister. She remembered the moment when she and Z1 got different pieces of jewelry that cost a lot. Then they were still on good terms, and now she can't even go home. Suddenly her friend was very surprised and pointed a finger at one very handsome guy who had blue hair. She also thought that the girl who was next to him was very lucky, because they should have a very good relationship. A second later, The girlfriend of the main characters did not scream in surprise and said that that lady's name was Al-Noor. Chin Luoyi looked at her husband, and then she understood why he had not returned home all these days. Meanwhile, Manwen didn't bother to be surprised and added that Al-Noor is the female lead for Wind and Rain. She didn't expect him to have such a handsome boyfriend. Even if this is a fake marriage, the main character felt overwhelmed, since they are still married and he has already found himself another woman. The main character got angry and said that they need to go back to the store because if they don't do it on time, the manager will scold them. Manwen's smirk replied that they don't need to worry as the manager never scolds them, and he is actually a very nice person also. She said that she will look at this red couple a little more, and after that it will be possible to leave. But Chin Luoyi did not want to look at them, and decided to leave her friend and go back to the store herself. She still managed to calm down, and realized that her husband was just an ordinary manservant. And since they entered into a fake marriage, she should not interfere in his personal life. When she decided to walk next to the girl, her husband, otherwise she accidentally bumped her elbow into her arm from this. She dropped her gift. Quickly picking up the gift, the main character began to apologize many times. Al-Noor was angry that some stranger allows herself to look at her boyfriend for so long. She also said that her apologies would not help her, since if the jewelry that is inside is damaged, she won't be able to compensate it even if Al-Noor sell Chin Luoyi. Chin Luoyi once again apologized to the couple for crashing into them. After that, the guy already went telling his companion to hurry up. Al-Noor could not leave the main character alone, and apparently she liked to humiliate her, so she said that she was very lucky this time. Chin Luoyi started crying since she couldn't help it. But Manwen decided to leave her saying that she didn't need to be upset about some bad woman. But the main character noticed that she didn't cry because of a woman. When her friend asked why she was crying, then the main character decided not to say that in fact, she is the wife of that beautiful guy who did not even intervene to help her. And in order not to tell the truth, Chin Luoyi lied to her friend, saying that she was not really crying and her eyes were just tired. Manwen realized that her friend was lying, but she didn't care because the main character would have a wedding tomorrow, and she advised her to clean herself up. Manwen decided to help her friend and said that she herself would bring the samples of the lights to the store, but for now she can go home to rest and prepare for tomorrow's wedding. The main character was very happy about this and thanked Manwen from the bottom of her heart. Meanwhile, Al-Noor and Feng Jue were on the street of the mall where they just hugged and looked into each other's eyes. The guy did not regret that he met the main character, because then he thought that she was a good person, but he was left disappointed with her hypocrisy. Suddenly, in the distance, the guy noticed Chin Luoyi, who wanted to get into a taxi and get home. Looking at the girl, the guy thought that she was still trying to return him by making an innocent face, but she would not succeed. At the same time, Al-Noor asked her boyfriend why he was acting so strange, and where he was staring all the time. Unexpectedly, Feng Jue decided to leave Al-Noor, saying that he had some important things to do. He left her girl alone. She tried to return him back crying, but it was all in vain. On the same day in the evening, the main character was engaged in all household chores. When she decided to take a break, she felt that her heart was empty. At that moment, she thought about Feng Jue, but immediately stopped, because they liked that she thinks about him all the time. Suddenly, she heard some strange sounds coming from another room, and she suggested something could be Feng Jue or some kind of... She was very scared because it was already evening, and she did not understand who was in it. She slowly opened the door and saw in that room a drunken Feng Jue who was not able to move himself. And Ye Hao, who felt much better, decided to help him and bring him home. When he was able to put the guy's body on the sofa, he also decided to rest a little as he was just exhausted, and he thought that his bones would now break. Looking at the time, Ye Hao suggested that the main character is already sleeping, but he should notify her that her husband is at home and that she takes care of him. Suddenly, Chin Luoyi took the lamp and entered the boys' room, screaming. Ye Hao was surprised by such an unexpected move, and immediately explained to the girl not to worry, as he is a good friend of her husband, and because he was drunk, he decided to help him. Hearing this, the main character asked why he decided to drink, to which the guy did not suggest that he was simply not in a good mood. She thought that her husband must have drunk with the girl she then crashed into, Also, the main character did not understand why Ye Hao called her husband the boss. Since he is a regular gigolo, she assumed that Ye Hao is his follower. After that, Qin Luoyi pointed her finger at the guy and said that Feng Jue doesn't usually live here. He'd better bring him home. Helping his friend, the guy replied that his boss advised him to bring it to this house when he was drunk, and he followed his order. Ye Hao, using a colossal amount of energy, the guy was still able to put the heavy body of the boss on the bed in order for him to sleep much more comfortably. After that, he stated that he had already done everything that was needed and could leave this house, wished the main character good night. Qin Luoyi didn't know what to do, like tomorrow she has to attend her sister's wedding and she needs not to be late. The main character tried all the ways to awaken Feng Jue, but nothing came of it. Then she decided to take off his shoes so that he would not stain the bed. But she couldn't do it, as he decided to turn on his side, which surprised the girl a little since she hadn't served anyone since she was a child. It's really cheap for Hai. Unexpectedly, the guy began to move his hand and grabbed the main character by the hand. Thereby, he greatly shocked the girl. Suddenly, he pulled the girl to his body, hugging and again calling Mu Ling. Trying to escape from the guy's arms, the main character is listening to how her husband called her by other names and touching the guy's face. What kind of person she was that could make him miss her so much. Since this is not the first time Qin Luoyi has encountered this, she decided to pretend to be that girl telling him to go to sleep since he is fine, and she will not leave him. After that, the main character was still able to put the guy back to sleep. Despite the guy, the main character feels she doesn't really look like a manservant, and maybe it's the departure of Mu Ling made him wallow in degeneration. Also touching his lips, she felt that his feelings are actually very deep and real, unlike anyone. She also suggested that in this place the guy and his ex-girlfriend could live together. And since Feng Jue allowed the main character to live here, he thus took her as a replacement for Mu Ling. The main character understood that in fact it was just a fake marriage, but she felt real emotions and was very upset. Looking into the eyes of her husband, Qin Luoyi told him that she was afraid that she would fall in love with him. But by that time, she guesses that will not be qualified to stay here anymore. The next day, the main character was already at the wedding, where she was wearing a beautiful pink dress. Now there were almost no people at the wedding, so she suggested that she came too early. At the same time, Qin Luoyi still managed to come to his senses and wake up. And the first thing he asked was to bring him some water, but he noticed that there was no one in the room, and he did not understand where his wife could have gone. He got angry because he thought that the main character of the special did not take him to her sister's wedding. Meanwhile, Qin Luoyi did not stop sneezing. In addition, almost all the people have already arrived, and the wedding should begin soon. She thought that her sister asked her to come along with Feng Jue, but she did not do this because he is innocent, and the main character does not want him to somehow interfere in her affairs. Meanwhile, Ziwen was in the house where the hairdresser was doing her a beautiful haircut. Ziwen was very interesting. If her sister came, but the hairdresser replied that she had not seen her yet. Ziwen decided to go outside to see if her sister came, because for the past 20 years, she was the favorite of her parents. But now everything has changed, and now no one will appreciate her from now on. The hairdresser tried to stop the girl, stating that she had not finished her work, but Ji-won did not listen. Go out on the street, and stubbornly searched for her sister among a huge crowd of people, but could not find her. Then she decided to get her phone in order to call her, and there were also talks among people about why Chin's changed the daughter to be married. Suddenly looked at one girl, Ji-won thought that she is very similar to her sister, since only she wears such shabby things. Looking closer, she recognized the main character and asked why she was somewhere in such an outfit on such an important day for Ji-won. Qin Luoyi decided not to say anything and just smile, but she didn't really understand why her sister was asking such strange questions, since she was the reason she was in this situation right now. After that, the sister took the main character by the hand and began to drag her to the house, saying that she had not seen her father for a long time, and they should meet. Entering the house, she saw her father sitting on an armchair, and he was very surprised to see his daughter. Father told Qin Luoyi that today is a very important day for her sister, so she doesn't need to mess around, which surprised the girl a little as he didn't even ask her how she's been doing since she left home. After that, the girls were left alone in the room where they talked, and the upcoming wedding. Ji-won said that at first she wanted to have an ordinary wedding, but Guan-chung wants to make it grand. She also said that her future husband was always afraid of injustice, but in fact was very satisfied to be with him. At the same time, the main character pretended to listen to her sister, although in reality she completely ignored her and drank a glass of wine, thinking that now she still doesn't like Guan-chung. After that, the sister added that the wedding is the most important priority in the life of any woman. She was very interested when Feng Jue appeared. Ji-won pretended to be very concerned about this fact, when in fact she did not care about it, and she knew very well that he would not come. Suddenly, the sister stood up and looking askance at her sister said that she was well protected since childhood. But there are still some lessons she still does not know. The more dignified she are, the more embarrassed she will be when she falls. The main character. She looked at her sister in complete bewilderment and asked what she was about. Ji-won just laughed and said not to pay attention to it. After that, she ordered the workers to prepare for the start of the wedding. It's like now is the time. Being among the crowd of people to Qin Luoyi, some girl in a pink dress was very interested in whether the main character is a child of Qin family. When the main character turned around, 2 more girls joined next to the girl in a pink dress, and how the girl in the red dress turned out to be called Zhao, and she is a childhood friend of the main character. Suddenly, a girl in a yellow dress and yellow hair, pointing at the main character of the finger, started with me saying that it can't be her, since this girl a couple of days ago came to arrange flowers for her house. Zhao was confused and asked if it was true. One of her friends with orange hair, said that Qin Luoyi had recently married a servant and she was kicked out of her house. All the girls, except Zhao, started to taunt the main character, calling her different words, saying that if they had such a daughter, they would also kick her out of the house. And now it's no wonder why they haven't seen her for so long. A girl in a black dress and orange hair was a little surprised by the main character's decision, because instead of marrying a wealthy family, she decided to marry some servant. And frankly, she does not understand what she was thinking. Qin Luoyi felt humiliated again, as they didn't really know how it all happened, and apologized and said that she needed to leave. Leaving that company of the main character did not understand why gossip in front of her face is good manners of high society. She decided not to think about it, but rather go to the ballroom first. Entering the room, she saw a bunch of different people who were sitting at their words. She also saw her sister, along with her husband, who were hugging and holding glasses of wine in their hands, apologizing for an imperfect reception. Ji-won noticed her sister, and she was very glad that everyone humiliated her. And because of this, she was forced to sit at a small table in the room so that no one could see her. Ji-won, together with her husband, decided to quietly give her a toast to the main character. After hearing this, Guan-chung was a little surprised because he thought that the main character would not dare to come here. After she did this to him, but Guan-chung said it didn't matter since today is their big day and she came here to give them her blessing. So he agreed to go to her. After they approached Qin Luoyi, she was a little surprised and decided to get up immediately. The spouses said that they came here to ask him to say a toast, and the main character wished them a lifetime of happiness. Suddenly, the sister of the main character remembered that Qin Luoyi did not answer her question, namely, where is her brother-in-law Guan-chung? This guy has no right to be called brother-in-law. After that, he asked, where is the guy who betrayed her and cheated on him with her? Qin Luoyi tremblingly realized that this was all her sister's plan, in order to humiliate her even more in the eyes of other people. All this was watched by the father of the family, who was unhappy that his daughter was being insulted and already wanted to go to them. But his wife stopped him. She stated that their daughter is like spilled water. Moreover, she acted immodestly and abandoned Guan-chung, causing embarrassment to the entire Qin family. Father still did not want to back down and stated that even though she did everything, Qin Luoyi is still his daughter and he should not be cold towards her. The wife objected, saying that the main character is already an adult and she should learn to face the consequences of her mistakes. Besides, she did not even try to apologize to her father. Doubting, the father nevertheless decided not to do anything, obeying his wife. Meanwhile, his wife thought that it was very difficult for her to throw the main character out of their family, and she would not allow her to return, no matter what. At the same time, the sisters did not stop arguing, and Guan-chung said that she did not want to take Guan-chung away from the main character, and if she had not cheated on him, this would not have happened. Qin Luoyi stated that she did not blame anyone because she knew that Ji-won was in love with Guancheng since childhood. But Ji-won's mouth still couldn't close, and they continued to humiliate the main character. Now she said that Guancheng treats her very well, and asked if brother-in-law is not writing because he worked too hard last night. And in this case, he really should have a good rest in order to prevent any illness. Everyone started laughing at the main character, and she didn't even know how to react to you, and she was tired of all these ridicule. Suddenly someone entered the building, which greatly surprised Qin Luoyi. After looking closely at this man, it turned out to be Ji-won, who still managed to get to the wedding. And his appearance was simply amazing. All the people were so shocked by his beauty that they could not take their eyes off him. All Qin Luoyi's friends who humiliated her before couldn't take their eyes off her boyfriend now, and they think that he is some kind of star, because only stars can be so beautiful. The guy immediately looked at the main character, who was pointing with her finger that he needed to leave, because she thought that if he approached her, everyone would start to humiliate him. But the guy did not stop and went to his beloved under the gaze of all the other women. The father of the main character looked at Feng Jue in bewilderment, since he did not know who it was and he did not invite him. The main character's father was talking to some man with an unusual beard who didn't know Feng Jue either. But he said he knew two people who were following him. These people turned out to be Ye Hao, who was an influential leader in their city, and Xiao Nao, who often appears in various economic media. The man said that it's amazing that Mr. Qin was able to call such influential people. After that, the father of Mr. Qin stayed with his wife, who was also surprised by these people, but they still did not know who the man in front of them was. The woman assumed that he was invited by Guancheng. Feng Jue, gently touching the girl, asked her why she came alone when they agreed to come together. Meanwhile, all the friends of the main character looked at her handsome boyfriend and were very indignant at this. Zhao was at a loss, as she did not understand how such a handsome guy could be a servant, and she said that it was all a lie. Qin Luoyi whispered to Feng Jue that she didn't want him to interfere in her family affairs. But the guy hugging the girl said that she should think about it when she signed the marriage contract. Feng Jue took a glass of wine and decided to use it to apologize to the couple, wishing them 1,000 years of happiness. Ji-won had to come up with something in order to leave a dirty spot on the guy's reputation, and stated that if the main character's husband did not have a good rest today, he would have to stay at work until the evening. Upon hearing this, all the girls were shocked as they found out that Feng Jue is a servant. Hugging his wife, the guy said that her childhood sister does this to her because her father always loved her more than Ji-won. Feng Jue gently kissed the girl on the forehead, asked the girl to leave it all to him as he will take care of it. Meanwhile, Xiao Nai was talking to your partners about company affairs. With all this, the girlfriends of the main character who could not take their eyes off the guy watched. They say that in reality she looks much more beautiful than on TV. A girl with orange hair said that although Xiao Nai is handsome, she thinks that he is as handsome as Feng Jue, which greatly surprised her friend who said that you can't compare an ordinary servant with Xiao Nai. Another girl in a pink dress decided to hold her friend and said that it was true, since Xiao Nai is a famous golden bachelor, and they cannot be compared. Meanwhile, Xiao Nai approached the main characters, saying that something strange is happening here, since everyone... Why are they talking about some kind of servant? After that, Xiao Nai introduced to 3 seniors the chairman of H&J Group, Li Fengjue. Xiao Nai said that these seniors want to talk to him about the cooperation of Planet Plan. All the girls, and not only were in complete shock, and simply lost the power of speech when they decided that Feng Jue is the chairman of such a company. Qin Luoyi was completely at a loss and did not understand why he had never told her before. Besides that, Ji-won said that it was impossible, while still stating that she was an ordinary servant. Clinging to her husband's chest, the main character thought that he didn't deny about the identity of a manservant, and she was wondering what was happening right now. 2 waiters joined the conversation, and they did not understand how it was possible that no one knows about the chairman of such a strong group. They need to pay attention to the news. They added that the chairman of H&J is the most mystical plutocrat in history, since no one has ever been able to know what he really looks like. Some say that he is an old man. Others say that he is a woman. In general, there are many different rumors, but no one knows the truth. Ji-won still couldn't believe that Feng Jue was the chairman of such a strong group. and told the main character that she was probably embarrassed to say that she had married a servant and simply asked him to pretend to be the chairman. Xiao Nai took a glass of wine and began to tell the whole truth behind this whole wedding. He stated that if Ji-won had not put something into the wine of the main character that day, then this wedding would not have happened, and Qin Luoyi would not have married Feng Jue. The protagonist's sister started to sweat a lot as she was nervous, while all her friends were shocked by such a big news, call her merciless. Suddenly, Guanqing grabbed her hand and didn't want to let go, ordered her to explain everything she did and why they talk about her like that. Also, one of the friend understood why the bride has changed, and it all happened because of the tricks made by Ji-won. The sister of the main character began to cry, and trying to escape from the hands of her fiancé, she said that they were all talking nonsense, and in fact, she did nothing wrong. Guancheng began to leave the wedding. They say that Feng Jue acted very sorry. The girl tried her best to stop the guy, but he didn't succeed because he no longer believed in her lies. At that moment, the main character decided that there was nothing more for them to do here, and they decided to leave this place, telling Xiao Nai that they would leave this place to him and Ye Hao. The main characters had already begun to leave, but some man asked them to wait. This man turned out to be Mr. Qin, who wanted to talk with his daughter and son-in-law, but Xiao Nai stopped him, saying that they now want to solve some kind of business, and they don't need to interfere. Mr. Qin mentioned that he just wanted to talk to his daughter, but Xiao Nai was called simply Bubbly, and asked if he didn't kick his daughter out of his family before she married Feng Jie. Mr. Qin was still trying to persuade the guy to let him go. They say that his daughter is the most valuable thing he has, and he would never throw his daughter out of the family, and then you were just words from anger. Xiao Nai decided to leave without listening to Mr. Qin's nonsense, as he understood that he had his own selfish goals. At the same time, Qin Luoyi was looking for her love, but she could not find him. Suddenly, she stopped and remembered one interesting moment that happened to her recently. It happened quite recently when she and her mother were choosing dresses for the wedding. And at that moment, her mother advised her daughter to be careful with the choice of the groom, as she would have to live with him all her life. Ji-won replied with a smirk that Guancheng really doesn't like it, and she does all this just to snatch everything her sister has, and even her fiancé. After that, the girl hit the wall hard with her fist in anger, as her whole plan was destroyed, and now everyone saw her real face. Trying to find a way out of this building, the main character could not believe that she had been thinking all this time that her husband was a gigolo. Nevertheless, finding a way out, they were met there by a black limousine and a personal driver who greeted the couple. While in the car, the guy asked his wife why she wrongly condemned him for his profession, and asked her to explain. He also asked Qin Luoyi if she was disappointed in him when she found out that he was actually the chairman of a large group. The main character felt very embarrassed and did not even know how to react to all this, and decided to remain silent. Feng Jue looked at the girl and admired her body. Her ears and neck are the most sensitive parts of her body, but she shows them freely every time, and he assumed something all the way to seduce him. After that, the guy began to gradually approach the girl, which scared her a little, and it was interesting what he wants to do. They hugged, and a storm of emotions occurred between them, as a result of which they passionately kissed. Meanwhile, the driver, who was supposed to be looking at the road, accidentally saw them kissing and tried not to look at it anymore. The guy bit the girl on the neck. I imagine that she is Muling. Qin Luoyi felt very good, but she didn't want her to accidentally fall in love with Feng Jue, so he asked him to stop doing it, pretending that she was tired and needed some time to rest. After that, the guy lagged behind her, saying that he would do what she asked. Qin Luoyi began to develop feelings for Feng Jue and tried her best to get rid of them, explaining that she had lost her innocence and was kicked out of her home by her own family. After a while, they finally arrived at Feng Jue's large mansion, which he kept hidden from his wife all this time. Opening the door, the main character was shocked to see a bunch of different workers who worked in this house. She approached the driver of the car and, apologizing, said that she did not live here, and asked him to bring her to her apartment. Since Feng Jue was also tired, he fell asleep right in the car, and Qin Luoyi decided to go out herself and see, this big mansion. Suddenly, when she wanted to get out of the car, her husband woke up and grabbed her by the hand and asked where she wanted to go. But the girl replied that he should not know this. Walking around the mansion, the main character met a girl with pink hair who greeted her. Feng Jue approached this girl and asked what she was doing, to which the girl replied that she just met the main character and apologized for the fact that they did not have time to prepare for this. After that, she kowtowed to Qin Luoyi with the hope that she would not be too upset because of this. At the same time, the main character felt very dexterous. The girl said that she is the housekeeper of Chu Hanyan, and she has been working in the Li family for 5 years. She also noted that if the main character needs something, she should contact her. Smiling main character thought something sounds like Chiu Hanyan is Feng Jue's mistress. After that, Feng Jue took the main character by the hand. They went to the house. When Qin Luoyi looked back, she saw that Chiu Hanyan felt very upset, as if she did not like that Qin Luoyi came here. Left alone Chu Hanyan. Why did the boss fall in love with such a materialistic woman? How could he bring her here since she is so much better than Qin Luoyi? She decided to immediately call Ye Hao and asked what was going on here. She also said that Zhu's marriage is very important and why she didn't know about it before. Ye Hao told the girl that it's only worth doing your job and not having any desires, but the girl replied that she had been on his side for 5 years, so she has the right to be among the first to know about this matter. He also said that the boss cares a lot about Qin Luoyi and shouldn't interfere with their relationship. After hearing this, Chiu Hanyan was completely shocked and did not know that her boss had a wife. After that, the guy added that if she tries to do something with Qin Luoyi, she will definitely find out about it, and the consequences for her will be terrifying. Giving the phone to one job, the girl said that she worked for 5 years, not so that someone could take away Feng Jue from her. Meanwhile, Qin Luoyi was yelling at Feng Jue, trying to explain to him that they needed to have a serious talk. But the guy said that they are already married and they have nothing to talk about, so they need to just let the nature take its course. Trying to get out of the hands of the guy, the main character asked what he was planning. But Feng Jue himself was at a loss and wanted to ask him because she was behaving very unpleasantly. Suddenly, the main character stated that she mistook him for a servant, so she decided to marry him. But now that she knows that he is the chairman of a large group, she wants them to divorce. When Feng Jue heard this, he was completely shocked and did not even know how to react to this. He did not understand why the girl suddenly wanted to divorce him when she found out that he was the chairman. Pushed the girl on the bed. He started saying that she has a brain problem because every woman who finds out about it wants to be with him, but she wants to divorce him. Qin Luoyi asked the guy not to stand so close to her and talk normally, but the guy approached the lips of the main character and asked, "What counts as talking properly?" Meanwhile, Chiu Hanyan sneaked up to the door of the room the characters were in and listened to everything they were saying. She was unhappy that some stranger girl was able to hook Feng Jue. Meanwhile, in the room, the main character said that she really wants a divorce and hopes that Feng Jue will understand her decision. She explained this by saying that they are different people from completely different worlds. When he heard this, the guy was in complete shock, saying that it doesn't matter what worlds they came from. She is his, and he loves her. After that, the guy let go of the girl and decided to leave it on the bed so that she would think about her decision. When he left the room, he immediately ran into Chiu Hanyan, who was listening to all this and did not have time to hide, and because of her clumsiness, she was almost noticed. Feng Jue asked Chiu Hanyan to come into the room and find out what the main character wants. Meanwhile, in the room, Qin Luoyi felt incomprehensible, since she herself did not know what she wanted from life. Suddenly approached her, who in a sarcastic way said that she had never seen her boss so angry before. Qin Luoyi was not in the mood at all, and said that even if her character is not good, it should not concern her in any way. Chiu Hanyan stated that her boss has a lot of different women. They are pure, flirtatious, knowledgeable, mature, and capable kinds. Also, all the women who thought highly of themselves and behaved boastfully with Feng Jue's momentary love for them, all of them ended up being chased out of the house, and not a single one was spared. The main character was surprised by Chiu Hanyan's knowledge and asked her if she knew her husband well, to which Chiu Hanyan stated that she had lived with him for 5 years and she could help her establish good relations with him. She also advised the main character not to behave like women from his past and provoke him, because who knows, and one day she can also be kicked out of the house. At that moment, the main character thanked the girl and said that she would behave this way because she wanted to quickly return to the old apartment. But Chu Hanyan still advised her to stay as all her belongings that were in that apartment were moved here. Qin Luoyi was a little surprised by the speed of her husband's work. She wondered where her room was now. The worker said that now she will share her room with Feng Jue, and she asked to follow her. At the moment when the main character was heading to her room, she perfectly understood that Qiu Hanyan likes Feng Jue. Upon hearing this, Qiu Hanyan became alert and said something true, and she did not understand what the main character was leading to. Qin Luoyi said that their marriage is actually fake, and she doesn't really like Feng Jue, so don't be afraid that she will accidentally take her to the status of a beloved woman. Qiu Hanyan was left in complete shock, as she did not understand why her boss brought this girl to this house if their marriage is fake. Besides, once again he decided to let her live together in the same room. And so she asked the main character if it was true. The next day, when she woke up, as always, she expected to wake up in her apartment. But when she opened her eyes, she realized that she was in her husband's mansion. Also, looking to the side, she noticed that Feng Jue had disappeared somewhere, and she assumed that he just decided not to sleep with her since they had a fight yesterday. From the bed, the main character realized that her husband is such a petty man who gets angry easily and disappears every time he's angry. After that, she went to the kitchen where all the workers of this house prepared a bunch of different food for her. But look at the time. The main character realized that she woke up too late, and because of this, she would be late now, and in order not to waste time, she immediately ran to work. After that, Feng Jue came to the kitchen and asked Qiu Hanyan to bring him a fresh newspaper, which she immediately did. While drinking tea, the character asked where the main character was, but when he heard that she had left, he was very surprised. After that, he asked what else the main character is not used to living here. The girl replied that Qin Luoyi was used to everything, and Feng Jue ordered the girl to pay more attention to Qin Luoyi, namely, to see which dishes she likes best, and ask the kitchen to cook them. Qiu Hanyan feels sad because her boss doesn't treat her this way, but some other girl. Feng Jue asked if everything was fine with her, to which the girl replied that last night the main character fell asleep too early, and because of this, she did not have time to ask her what she likes to eat. Also, because she was too busy this morning, Qiu Hanyan also didn't have time to ask her anything, so she will be much more attentive from now on. After that, the guy got up from the table and ordered the girl to prepare a car for him that will bring him to the company. Meanwhile, the main character was at her work where suddenly someone started calling her phone. When she saw someone calling, she was shocked because it was her father, and since she was kicked out of the family, this is the first time her father calls her. Mr. Qin asked how his daughter was doing, but the main thing was that I didn't feel very strange, and she seemed to be afraid to talk to her father, and decided to just keep quiet. The father understood the state of his daughter, and just wanted to say that he hoped that she could find a good man for herself, and he would never leave his daughter to be homeless. He also said that the misunderstanding that happened with her sister has now been sorted out, and the father hopes that his daughter will get along with Feng Jue. Besides that, he is waiting for her with his husband tonight for dinner, where they want to meet. Qin Luoyi noticed that her father's attitude towards her changed drastically after he found out Feng Jue's real identity. So she replied that she didn't even know if he could do it today since he is always busy. Father was much surprised by this and asked her to just ask him, since they are still a couple. But the protagonist did not answer that she had never interfered with his schedule before. But Mr. Qin heard this and thought that she still blames him for what he did, and that is why she does not want them to meet. At first, Mr. Qin kicked his own daughter out of the house. After that, he treated her coldly, as if the main character was not even his daughter. And now he calls first, which seems very strange for such a person. All of a sudden, some person came into the store wanting to buy some flowers. So the main character had to say that she was in a hurry, and she hung up. Mr. Qin was simply shocked by his daughter's actions. He does not understand how she allowed herself to hang up. Also looking at the documents, he saw that the H&J group that Feng Jue works with rejected his offer, which angered him even more. Hitting the table with his fist, the man did not understand why, after all that he began to do. She still does not appreciate him, and she really does not know what is good for herself. Suddenly, one worker came into the office and said that President Mrs. Twin had come. Mrs. Quinn approached her husband and began to gently calm him down. They say that everything is fine, He should not just be angry. She also stated that knowing the character of her daughter, she will definitely understand everything soon. But Mr. Chin thinks that even if she understands, nothing will change. And he decided to take a fresh newspaper and read it. But after reading the headline, he was simply shocked. He angrily decided to show what it says about his wife, and when she saw this too, she immediately began to panic. As it turned out in the newspaper, it was written that the eldest son of the Gu's family was seen having fun with 2 women. The father was simple and ordered his wife to go to his beloved son-in-law and see what was really happening there. After that, leaving the room, he realized that his reputation was now completely destroyed.